in a world where loyal companions await, one place stands as their beacon of hope. The Pet Resource Center of Hillsborough County, where you can adopt your very own superhero. Adopt a dog. Find your sidekick and unlock the power of unconditional love. Suit up, show up, and adopt today. For more information, visit hcfl.gov/pets.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Comprehensive Plan Amendment Public Hearing. The Board of County Commissioners will consider the transmittal and adoption of text and map amendments to the comprehensive plan. The board will also consider the adoption of small-scale future land use map amendments with related rezonings. I have one notice to read into the record from Chair Hagan. Please be advised that I'm unable to attend the public hearing on August 14th due to a prior commitment. Best regards, Ken Hagan. We have a continuance request, A1 and A2. The applicant has requested a continuance of CPA 2309 and MM 241110 to the November 13th, 2025 Comprehensive Plan Amendment Public Hearing at 6 p.m. Yeah.
I'll move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Myers to continue CPA 2309 and MM 241110 to the November 13th, 2025 Comprehensive Plan Amendment. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay, I will now request the Planning Commission staff introduce the first item for this evening's agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. For the record, Melissa Leinhard, Planning Commission staff. For the first one, we have agenda item B1. This is HCCPA 25-09, a comprehensive plan text amendment, and the presentation will be presented by Ms. Andrea Papandreou.
Good evening, Commissioners. Andrea Papandreou, Planning Commission staff. This is HCCPA 25-09, the Valrico Community Plan. So the community plan was an 18-month process, so I do have about a 10-minute presentation tonight. This is a publicly initiated text amendment. On March 1st, 2023, the board requested staff to initiate the process to create the Valrico Community Plan. If adopted, Valrico will be the 23rd community plan in the livable communities element of the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. The map shows the proposed boundary for the Valrico Community Plan. The site is within the urban service area. The boundary goes north to Sydney Road and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, east to the Energy Industrial Park boundary and the Alafaya River. Lithia Pinecrest Road is on the south, and the west is Seffner Valrico Road, Bell Shoals Road, and John Moore Road. The Energy Industrial Park is not part of the Valrico Community Plan. The updated map is based off of public input and was expanded to include all the Bloomingdale Avenue Homeowners Association, and this map was presented to the Planning Commission in April. And the boundary also includes a portion of the Brandon Community Plan along Bloomingdale Avenue. So the community plan process began in spring of 2023 with the board's initial request. Staff started initial community meetings in summer of 2023. Community engagement and data collection continued through 2023 and 2024, and final community meetings were held in the fall of 2024, with the last in-person office hours in spring of 2025. During the final meetings, full draft language was available to the public. So staff used multiple methods to advertise all public engagement opportunities. This includes signs at major intersections, newsletters, constant contact emails, social media posts, and plan ambassadors. And plan ambassadors are community volunteers that actively assist with collecting community feedback. On the screen before you are all the community engagement opportunities that we've had during this process. This includes 12 community-wide meetings, both in-person and virtual, 3 in-person office hours, and 4 online surveys. Staff were requested to present to 3 community groups as well. And additional detailed information about our engagement is in the non-adopted background report in your packets. So community plan is a living document. It's an extension of the county's comprehensive plan, and it provides a vision for the next 10 to 15 years. The full vision for Valrico can be found in your packets. A couple highlights include compatible suburban character while maintaining a rural identity, compatibility of new development, protection and maintenance of natural green and public spaces, bicycle and pedestrian-friendly connections, and infrastructure balanced with growth. So community plan is citizen-driven feedback based on the community's priorities. And these priorities and feedback through multiple rounds of engagement provide staff with a direction to create the 4 goals that make up the Valrico Community Plan. So goal 1 is infrastructure, goal 2, development, goal 3, mobility, and goal 4, environment and recreation. So for the next few slides, I'm going to depict some of the strategies under each goal. I won't go into every single strategy for time considerations, but the full list can be found in your packets. For goal 1 is infrastructure. This includes identifying funding and alternative funding source opportunities, providing infrastructure to support existing and proposed development, and prioritizing projects related to the safety and mobility for motor vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists. So goal 2 is on development, which encompasses many aspects of the community, such as commercial development that fits the character of the area, compatible design and densities, historic property recognition and protection, and strengthening code enforcement and security. Feedback from the community indicates a desire to balance growth while maintaining Valrico's character. There are strategies in this goal for implementing the Brandon and Valrico plan policies for properties in both community plans. Staff took into consideration the Brandon community plan and found no conflict between the 2 community plans. So on the screen before you is the Valrico concept map, which is also included in your packets. The hatched area indicates where properties will be in both the Brandon and Valrico community plans. So goal 2, strategy 1, is on supporting commercial clustering in a neighborhood node. This node is outlined in pink on the map before you at the Bloomingdale Avenue and Lithia Pinecrest Road intersection. So the neighborhood node recognizes the already commercialized area of Bloomingdale Avenue and Lithia Pinecrest Road. The intent is to support redevelopment of commercial uses and to cluster commercial uses. By clustering commercial, it avoids the extension of the strip commercial development outside of the node. It would provide a transition with surrounding residential areas and allows for more compatible development within Valrico. The node also provides a focal point for a future investment, so areas for future transportation improvements, connections between uses, or developing new public uses. So outside the neighborhood node, commercial can still be built. It is just subject to commercial locational criteria, which is in the future land use section. Goal 3 is on mobility. Strategies include improving multimodal connectivity, relieving traffic congestion, enhancing access to community facilities, and enforcing truck route regulations. Improving transportation infrastructure was a central concern for Valrico residents. Goal 4 is on the environment and recreation. Strategies include protecting the environment, providing quality recreation opportunities, and improving stormwater management. The proposed amendment received no objections and received comments from the listed agencies on the screen. In addition, Development Services and County Attorney's Office have been provided the language. Proposed amendment is consistent with the following objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan. This includes policies from the One Water, Future Land Use, and Capital Improvements sections. Proposed amendment is also consistent with the following objectives and policies from the Mobility and Recreation Open Space sections. Planning Commission recommends that the proposed text amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. So that concludes my presentation. Staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on the item, please stand forward. Staff, do we have anyone online?
We have no sign-ups online.
No? What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen on HCCPA 2509. Please record your votes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Yes, thank you. Next item is item C1 and will be presented by Mr. David Hay.
Good evening, Commissioners. David Hay with your Planning Commission staff.
The next item for your review is HCCPA 2430. It's located at 7002 Nundy Avenue. It is a privately initiated small-scale map amendment. It's approximately 10.89 acres. Currently, it is adopted as residential 6, and the request is to go to the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category. Here we have a general locator map. It is located within the urban service area. It falls within the boundaries of the Gibsonton Community Plan. It also falls within the boundaries of the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan, aka South Hillsborough, and it does fall within the coastal high hazard area. Here we have an aerial of the subject site. You could see the site outlined in yellow. Currently, the site has 3 zoning districts on it. There's commercial general, ASC1, and AR zoning. There's RSC9 and residential show business zoning lots to the north. There's a mix of agricultural and residential and commercial lots to the east, and there's residential show business zoning to the south along Nundy Avenue. And then along US Highway 41, there's a mix of commercial, neighborhood commercial, commercial general, with some remaining single-family detached along US Highway 41. Here we've got some photos of the subject site. We're looking southwest toward the subject site from Gibsonton Drive. So the subject site is actually behind the trucks. On the right of this photo, you can kind of see some concrete over here. Here we're looking north from the subject site across Gibsonton Drive, so the majority of the site is behind the photographer. Here we're looking south into the subject site from the current entrance located on Gibsonton Drive. Here we're looking northeast toward the subject site from the intersection of US Highway 41 and Nundy Avenue, so it's on the other side of this railroad track that runs right here. Here we're looking north toward the subject site from Nundy Avenue. Here we're looking west along Nundy Avenue. The subject site is here on the right. And then here we're looking north up Trinity Ave. The subject site is located on the left over here behind these lots that are these wooded lots on the left. So here we have the currently adopted future land use map. You can see the subject site, and these properties all in this yellow are the residential 6. The suburban mixed use 6 category is this pink, and I should note that this site adjacent to the subject site was just recently amended to the SMU 6 under Plan Amendment 24-29. The bright red is the Office Commercial 20, future land use category. Here we have the subject site. If the plan amendment is approved, the subject site would turn to that light pink color representing the suburban mixed use 6. Currently, under the existing residential 6, a maximum of 65 dwelling units or approximately 118,000 square feet of non-residential uses could be considered on the site. If the amendment is approved to the suburban mixed use 6, the density would remain the same. The maximum density permitted would remain the same at 65 units. The non-residential square potential does increase to approximately 237,000 square feet of non-residential. It does also introduce commercial intensive and light industrial uses could be considered under the suburban mixed use 6 category. The Planning Commission did find that the proposed request is consistent with 3 policy areas. The first area deals with the sensitivity of new land uses with the existing development area. The subject site is adjacent to an active CSX rail line, is in proximity to lands designated OC20 on the future land use map. The proposed request would provide for a logical transition between those more intensive uses located to the west and the more residential pattern located to the east of the subject site, both along Gibson Drive and Nundy Avenue. There were numerous policies regarding the promotion of economic development, especially near U.S. Highway 41 and Gibson Drive. And finally, the Planning Commission did find that the proposed amendment would be consistent with policies related to the coastal high hazard area. The proposal would allow for additional non-residential consideration while also not increasing the residential density. So based on that, your Planning Commission does recommend to you this evening that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, and I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is the applicant here?
To your first one. Okay. And it's right there. And let's do that. Close. There you go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Madam Vice Chair, Commissioner, staff, my name is Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451, St. Petersburg. This has been presented, I'm sorry?
No, I just want to know your time.
Okay. This has been presented both as a land use amendment and I have some of the zoning as well. What I want to make aware of for the first 3 minutes for the land use amendment is that the applicant, Marie Mismalat, is a small businesswoman, entrepreneur, and this all comes forward to you on a very positive basis. Development Services, Planning Commission, staff, Planning Commission, board, no agency objections. I'm not aware of any opposition. In fact, in the record are a number of the immediate neighbors who are in support. And as well, just speaking quickly in regard to zoning, the same situation status. Mr. Hay did a good job in presenting the Gibson area where we're located. I think he's oriented that very well with the rail line next to us. And the PD plan, or the PD amendment, is a companion for PD, which severely restricts the use that I'll review with you in just a few minutes. But the surrounding uses are very intensive. On the west is adjacent railroad. This is to the south of the site's an intensive use. To the east, David had one picture there, is a trucking use. And on the site, it would be very limited areas of activity, only the yellow in the north, only the yellow in the south. So with that, I'll leave the rest of the presentation for the zoning, and we appreciate having your attention and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pressman. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to CPA 24-30? Okay, seeing no one in the queue and no one to speak, we can move on to the adoption. I'm sorry, before we move on, we need to go to R2 24-1240. Please administer the oath of office for anyone wishing to speak on the item.
All right. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Commissioners, Brian Grady, Hillsborough County Development Services. The related rezoning item, agenda item C2, is rezoning PD 24-1240. As noted, the subject parcel is located on the south side of Gibson Drive, the north side of Nundy, and east of US 41. The request is for a planned development to allow for 2 development pods, as noted on the site plan. The northern pod along Gibson Drive would provide for a contractor's office with open storage, and then the southern parcel with access on Nundy would provide for open storage of modular office buildings. Staff did find this request consistent in approval, subject to approval of the comprehensive plan amendment to SMU 6. Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer recommended approval, and staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigitte. Is the applicant? You have 10 minutes, Mr. Pressman.
Thank you again. For the record, Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. Considering the support of all the departments and agencies and no opposition, I'm going to keep this a brief presentation unless for some reason we need to go back and answer any questions or any comments. So we are rezoning from AR, ASC1, and CG to a PD. And that PD is to specifically only allow a contractor's office with open storage specific to modular office units and a small office. And these are the small office modular units for storage. It's quiet, low trips, no real active use, very little infrastructure. And we have neighbor support noted on the east, which are a number of the residents. That's in the record. Rail line on the other side. To the south is the lumber yard. And all along Gibsonton Drive, and as Mr. Hay indicated, the Board of County Commissioners approved right next door the same future land use category, and it's a trucking use next door for intensive uses. And I think importantly, most of the property is being left in its natural state. We have 2 active pods. This is showing the SMU 6s that were approved, that this board approved in the past. On the south is all residential show business. Uses and activities along Gibsonton Drive, I'll just go very quickly. This is one of my favorite pictures, are very intensive. And those uses are contained along Gibsonton Drive. Gibsonton itself is an arterial roadway and a truck route. And this is some of the letters of the neighbors in support next door. Development services support. This is a reduction, a significant reduction, a 24-hour two-way volume of 12,000 trips per day, over 1,000 in the AM trip reduction. I do want to just finish with this because the company that's involved was a tremendous public servant during the hurricanes. They become an invaluable business partner. They worked in regard to organizational culture in the area and the employees. They volunteered their equipment to remove trees that fell on people's homes or their property. They spent days and days helping all the residents, all the neighbors in the area, which you can imagine everyone's very, very supportive of them. So with that, we appreciate your attention and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone that would like to speak? Any opponent testimony? Anybody want to speak against RZ 24-1240? Okay, I guess we'll move to Planning Commission staff.
Good evening. Again, David Hay, Planning Commission staff. In keeping with brief, I'll keep it very brief about the zoning. Planning Commission staff did find that the request for the limited square footage met policies regarding maximum intensity within the SMU 6 category. It does also, it is consistent with the commercial locational criteria since the site is located within 300 feet of a major intersection. Given the small area of the open storage, staff found it consistent with the neighborhood protection policies regarding buffering and screening. Staff also found it consistent with goals within the Gibsonton Community Plan regarding economic development. And based on those considerations, the Planning Commission staff recommends that the rezoning be found consistent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zoning Hearing Master?
The zoning hearing master reviewed the proposed rezoning of property consisting of 3 folio parcels with a total of 10.89 acres located at the south side of Gibsonton Lane and north side of Nundy Avenue, east of South US Highway 41 in Gibsonton. The property is designated residential 6 on the future land use map and is zoned AS1, AR, and CG. The applicant has applied for a companion comprehensive plan amendment, CPA 2430, to change the future land use designation to SMU 6. The applicant's request is to rezone the property to a planned development to allow a contractor's office with open storage of modular office units. The general area surrounding the property consists of single-family residential and mobile home, light industrial, and commercial uses, and a railroad right-of-way. Adjacent properties include single-family and mobile home uses across Gibsonton Drive to the north, single-family mobile home and a trucking operation to the east, a lumber operation across Nundy Avenue to the south, and a railroad track to the west. The applicant's site plan proposes 2 areas of open storage, one area in the property's northeast and the other in the subject property's southeast. The site plan shows the remainder of the property as unimproved with some areas of wetlands and natural ponds. The Development Services Department staff found that the proposed use would not be incompatible with the existing development pattern of the surrounding area. The Transportation Review staff additionally stated no objections, subject to the conditions set out in the Transportation Review comment sheet and the Development Services staff report. The zoning hearing master concluded with a recommendation of approval.
Thank you for that. The first order of business would be to consider the ordinance for adoption of CPA 2430. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, a second by Commissioner Whistle on CPA 2430. Please record your vote.
Commissioner Miller?
I'm a yes. I didn't get a cue.
Okay.
Let me try. Did you get it?
Yes? Okay.
Mhm.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you. Next would be to consider the approval of RZ 241240.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, a second by Commissioner Whistle. Please record your vote on RZ 241240.
Commissioner Cepeda? Oh, thank you. Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Yes, thank you. Our next item is item C3, and it will be presented by Mr. Tyreek Royal. Thank you.
Good evening, Tyreek Royal, Planning Commission staff. And today I'll be presenting HGCPA 2501 at 2002 West 60 Highway. This request is privately initiated, small-scale map amendment with approximately 9.5 acres. The request is to change the land use designation from residential 1 to office commercial 20. The location of the site is in the eastern portion of unincorporated Hillsborough County. It is in the rural area, a wellhead protection area, and not located within the limits of the community plan. This is the aerial photo of the site outlined in pink. The site is located north of State Road 60, west and south of Mutt Lake Road. Surrounding uses include agricultural uses to the west and south, single-family uses to the north, and light commercial uses to the east. This is a photo facing north towards the subject site. Here's a photo facing south with the subject site behind the camera. Here's the east view of the property with the subject site being located to the left. Here's a west view of the property with the subject site being located to the right. Again, the site is in the residential 1 future land use category. It allows for the consideration of agricultural, farms, ranches, residential, neighborhood commercial, office, and multi-purpose projects. Commercial uses are subject to locational criteria. The site is approximately 1.7 miles from the urban service area. The applicant is requesting to change the future land use category from residential 1 to office commercial 20. The OC 20 allows for consideration for community commercial type uses, office uses, mixed-use developments, and compatible residential uses. Agricultural uses may be permitted pursuant to policies in the agricultural objective areas of the future land use section. The change from Res 1 to OC 20 will allow for an increase in development by allowing significantly higher residential density and greater commercial intensity. The density of 1 dwelling unit per acre would increase to 20 dwelling units an acre. The commercial intensity would increase from a 0.25 FAR, or a maximum of approximately 310,000 square feet. Anything above a 0.35 FAR must be for office or residential support uses and not retail. Planning Commission staff has reviewed the proposed application and found it to be inconsistent based on the goals, objectives, and policies of the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, including Objective 1.2 relating to development pattern expected in the rural area. Flu Objective 4.4 is accompanying policies related to neighborhood protection. Flu Policy 4.4.1 related to density intensity being compatible with the surrounding area. And Flu Objective 2.2 regarding the allowable range of uses permitted in the respective future land use category. With that, the Planning Commission recommended that the proposed map amendment HGCPA 2501 be found inconsistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. That concludes my presentation. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Royal. Is the applicant here?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Todd Pressman, 202nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is a companion application as well. Located, as indicated on the mapping, on State Route 60. And it's just west of James Redmond Parkway. This is an interesting item because this pertains to a family business. The Navarros are here. They're in the front row if you want to stand up for a minute. This is Navarro Produce, and their business is weekly trips back and forth to Texas to bring agricultural products back to Hillsborough County. This is one of their trucks, one of their others, giving an idea. They're involved with the largest independent farmers market in the Southeast, which is Plant City Farm and Flea Market. This is just a few views of what their involvement is in terms of agricultural business. You guys can have a seat. Thank you. So the companion plan is specific to their use, which I'll get into more detail, but is strictly as the family business with some of their trucks that park at their home, which is what they like to do, is have the trucks park at their home way in the back off the street. And we have to have the companion future land use map to go with that specific use under the PD. What's interesting about this is that when you look at the site, right next door is a large intensive agricultural use. And of course, as a large intensive agricultural use, they can have all kinds of trucks and tractors to store anywhere and everywhere. But on the other side of the fence, where the Navarros are, they can't, because they're not officially recognized as an agricultural use under the code. It's a real technical kind of nuanced thing. So we had to move forward with the companion amendment because they have their residential home and they want to do the truck parking in the rear, and that's what thrust us into that rather than just a pure agricultural use. So again, it's kind of a dichotomy because on one side of the fence next door, they can do exactly what they like to do as an ag, but they can't on their site. And this is the little circuitous thing, which is under the agriculture uses, if they were AM or A agriculture, it would be a conditional use much easier for storage versus agricultural residential. So the roadway, State Route 60, carries 21,500 vehicles per day. It is a state principal arterial, so it's a busy roadway. And again, that's their involvement is, of course, the trucking. I do want to go back because it may look like a really rural area, but what I want to make you aware of is when you look in the immediate area, right next door is Trusted Pet Care with outdoor pet boarding, and a large event church is located as the next use. So there are intensive uses in the immediate surrounding area. Under the site plan, State Route 60, they would have 9 truck storage spaces in the center, as you can see, which is quite a distance from State Road 60. The residential home and home office would be in front, and interior dry storage is in the rear. From the front of State Route 60, I have it at about 432 feet, more or less, from State Route 60. So it's really far back there. You're not going to see it. You're not going to know it. And again, this is some of their uses that we indicated to you. Now, they are an agriculture use, and the agriculture chapter of your comp plan is very supportive of this use. It notes that agricultural support uses are the preferred uses in the rural area, which is exactly what we are. General considerations of Objective 5.1, recognize the importance of agriculture as industry and valuable economic resource. Promote the economic viability of agriculture activities by recognizing and providing for its unique characteristics in land use planning, land development regulations. We think that speaks exactly to this use. 5.2.4, agriculture-related commercial uses more intensive or heavy than neighborhood-serving commercial may be considered in rural land use categories. 5.1.8, support existing agriculture uses as an historical component of the community and their economic importance to the county. And there's more. 5.1.1, encouraging agriculture uses within and around centers, development maintenance of agriculture market centers, which they are a part of. And 5.1.6, that agriculture and related uses shall be permitted in non-rural land use categories, basically supporting agriculture in all categories. So in terms of the future land use in regard to the zoning, this comes forward on a very positive basis. We have had no opposition. There's nothing else in the record in opposition. So we appreciate your consideration and your support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on CPA 2501? Do we have anyone online? Okay. The vote in adoption. That was a no. The vote in adoption of CPA 2501 will occur after the oral argument has been held for RZ 250500. I am going to ask the clerk or representative to administer the oath to all persons who wish to speak on RZ 250500.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Mr. B.
Commissioners, the related item C4 is rezoning PD 25-0500. As noted, this parcel is located in the north side of State Road 60 east of Muck Lake Road. The request is to rezone the parcel from AS1 to a planned development to provide for a single-family home, a truck dispatch office, and the warehouse and open storage of the trucks as noted. Based on reviewing this under the provisions of the OC20 future land use designation, which is being requested, staff did find, based on the site plan and as outlined before you, we did find this compatible and did recommend approval. Planning Commission staff likewise found it consistent in the hearing, also recommended approval, and staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Applicant.
Madam Vice Chair, I'll keep this very short because I think I covered a lot of the points. Comes forward very positively, no opposition, great family, great business, part of the agriculture center of Hillsborough County. So I'll leave it at that unless there's questions or we need to go into some other points or details. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any proponent testimony? Any opponent testimony to RZ 250500? Okay. Planning Commission staff.
Good evening, Tariq Royal, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is in Residential 1 Future Land Use category as a concurrent comprehensive plan that we just heard to change the future land use category to OC20. The request is an allowable use in the Office Commercial 20. The proposal also meets the objective 1.2 and the policy 1.1.2 of the future land use section regarding rural area and agricultural uses. The proposal meets the intent of FLU objective 4.4 and FLU policy 4.4.1 that require new development to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised of mostly a mix of uses. Light commercial, single family, and agricultural uses are in the immediate area. Based upon that, the Planning Commission staff finds that the request meets the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Zoning Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered RZ 250500, which is a proposed rezoning consisting of approximately 9.7 acres located on West State Road 60 in the Plant City area. The property is designated Residential 1 on the future land use map and zoned AS1. The applicant's request is to rezone the subject property to a planned development to allow one single-family residence with a truck dispatch office, warehouse uses, and open storage for 9 commercial vehicles and 9 domestic vehicles. The general area surrounding the property consists of agricultural and single-family residential uses and a place of worship. Adjacent properties include agricultural parcels to the west, a single-family residential parcel to the north, a pet boarding and grooming business to the east, and an agricultural parcel to the south across West State Road 60. The applicant's representative testified during the ZHM hearing that the property owners reside and operate their family business on the property. consisting of a trucking operation that brings produce to Florida markets from out of state. The applicant has requested a related comprehensive plan amendment, CPA 2501, seeking to amend the property's future land use map designation to OC20. Development Services Department staff found the proposed rezoning compatible with the surrounding properties and in keeping with the general development pattern of the surrounding area. Staff concluded that proposed PD rezoning is approvable, subject to the approval of CPA 2501 and the conditions set out in the staff report. Additionally, transportation review staff stated no objections. And the zoning hearing master concluded with a recommendation of approval.
Thank you, Commissioner Whistle.
Thanks. I was just curious. We have some pretty intensive agricultural uses within agricultural zoning. So why does this one have to be OC20? And why can't, I mean, because we've had some like seriously intensive uses on our normal agricultural zonings. I always worry about these massive jumps on the land use map, because what you'll eventually hear in future attempts of other rezones is staff will zoom out on the map and then they'll say, well, there's similar ones next to it. And then that can promote a cascade effect of this dark red in the middle of light green. So I'm just curious why it couldn't be accomplished in a less intensive zoning than OC20.
So I'll address that two different ways. I think that the future land use category of OC20, there are other future land use categories that could accommodate this use and still provide protection to the surface water area. I believe the applicant chose to go with OC20, but there are other options in terms of comprehensive plan amendments, future land use categories that could accommodate the use. The use itself, the nature of it is while it's dealing with an agricultural product, the nature is open storage of trucks that happen to be transporting agricultural goods, so it didn't fit within the description of what an agricultural business would be. If they were growing and had some element like that on the site, it could be looked at as agricultural. But to the first question, there are other categories. For instance, suburban mixed use 6 could be a category of lesser intensity that could accommodate the same type of use.
And why didn't we go with the lesser intensive ones? Do we know why?
I can help answer that.
Sure.
Thank you. For the record, Melissa Leinhard, Planning Commission staff. When we do our pre-application meetings with applicants, we do talk through options. What kind of future land use, what are you looking to do? What kind of future land use category can accommodate that? In my memory, what I remember, Mr. Pressman can confirm or deny, there's a one water policy, 1.3.12, which says that no additional areas shall be designated with industrial land use categories within the surface water protection areas and the water resource protection areas. This site is located in one of those areas, so from that policy, I believe Mr. Pressman was deterred from pursuing an industrial, purely industrial category, like a light industrial use or plan category. And we also indicated that though suburban mixed use 6 is not purely an industrial category, it does allow the consideration for industrial uses. So staff felt that ran afoul of this policy, but it is within your purview to choose a different category. If you're more comfortable with the suburban mixed use 6, then we can handle that.
And they chose not to do that over the one water policy?
That is my understanding, but you might want to hear from the applicant on that.
Mr. Pressman, could you elaborate? But you know what I'm talking about with introducing these really heavy OC20s into areas and then it being used in the future as justification for someone to try and say, well, I support this item and what they're doing. I'm just trying to find a way to avoid the OC20 if possible.
Test. I think you have a commissioner because this is a companion PD. So written in stone on the zoning map, is a companion PD, which restricts it specifically to this use. So anyone looking up in the future, in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, written in stone is, you have this future land use category, but you're restricted to this agricultural trucking use.
Yeah, but that is not how it will be presented. It will just be, here's a dark red spot, which means I get a dark red spot. That's what happens behind the scenes, right? You don't see. That's why I'm trying to figure out if we can accomplish it with a lower. But is that not satisfy? If we as a board say, hey, we're happy to do it so you can have the use, but we don't want to do the OC20, and maybe they do. I'm just speaking for myself. Would that not satisfy the needs if it allows them to do all of their business that they're trying to do?
Well, let me say that we're always happy to move forward any way that the board is comfortable. So that's the overriding issue. SMU 6, it is still a somewhat intensive category. OC20 is a little bit more intensive, but I think personal opinion is that they're all pretty much, those two are pretty much in the same general realm or arena. And yes, as Melissa indicated, SMU 6 is a lower category, but because of a number of considerations, some that Melissa indicated, and of course staff supported the request, we felt that that did fit best.
I don't know that SMU 6, I mean, it's six units per acre is anywhere near the same as 20 units per acre, unless my definition of the two is wrong, so.
Well, that's on the residential density, but it's the uses are, I mean, I would just suggest that they're generally in the same arena in terms of uses. The density of residential is from a 6 to a 20, yes.
Well, I'll just say to my colleagues, I feel more comfortable if we could do the lower density, that would still allow them, it sounds like, to conduct their business and not introduce such a new intensive one. But I mean, it's the District 4's land. I'm just making an observation. I support the organization and what they're doing. It's just I see those dark red splotches and I get concerns because I've seen it so many times the past 3 years. So that's all.
If I may, before we go to you, Commissioner Myers, I asked the same questions in my briefing, and if you recall, you talked a little bit about that there really needs to be a new land use category just to address this type of issue, because I had the same concerns. I'm very familiar with the area and had a lot of the future concerns for it. Do you want to talk to that, and maybe it will help clarify it for him?
I sure can. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for bringing that up. This has the more intensive, a more urban category, which is what we classify office commercial 20, being requested in the rural area. We've seen that request privately initiated in the recent past a couple different times, and we've seen a more trend for that kind of request to meet this kind of need where you have a use that's more intensive that would be allowed in a residential plan category, but because a lot of this area is in the surface water protection area or the water resource protection area, we have that one water policy which precludes the industrial use. So this is only one of the categories that the applicants feel that they can request, so there's the conundrum. So we've identified that as a need to create a new category in the rural area that does not come with that change in density or that increase in density. So that is something that we're looking into and studying, and I'm happy for you to make a motion for us to pursue that and kind of bump that up into our work products, and we can get that back to you sooner rather than later. That doesn't solve our problem tonight, but it's something that we can proactively look into and get back to you on.
Thank you for that explanation. Commissioner Myers?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I think we are all along the same lines because spent a lot of time with the briefing today on the same issue and why we cannot use their SMU 6 because we don't have a category to really fit this. Mr. Pressman, would your clients be amenable to that in order to move forward?
We're happy to move forward any way the board is supportive. It sounds like the board is supportive. I'm not sure how we process that. I don't know if we can ask Melissa that. But I will also say with greatest respect that the site is under code enforcement, so I would ask for a clear message that the commissioners would like to see this move forward under an SMU 6, so I can relay that if we're going to go in that direction. And maybe we can ask Melissa real quick what's involved in processing, changing for an SMU 6. As she thinks about it.
I would ask the county attorney's office to address that issue. Would that be possible for them to request a suburban mixed-use 6 future land use designation at this meeting rather than the office commercial 20?
It's a lesser category.
That's, Mr. Gormley can speak to that process.
Yeah, it's good. I think, Commissioners, the appropriate way to change this request from OC20 to SMU 6 would be to go back and amend the application, have it go back to the Planning Commission, and come back with a recommendation specifically and analyzed under SMU 6. It's a significantly different category than the one that's before the board tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Whistle?
If you're not done, go ahead.
No, I would support that, rather than us trying to work it out here in the boardroom.
Yeah, and
That they have more time to work it out, then come back to us as a board.
My question was going to be, do we need to make a motion? Does staff understand on the code enforcement side, like, hey, this is our direction, so
Yes,
we don't want.
We understand that. It is this is a development services code enforcement case that they've been cited for unpermitted land alteration, so we can make sure that that is clear and move forward with the code case with that understanding. And perhaps any concerns about the stormwater impacts by the unpermitted land alteration, we can look to make sure that there's some temporary mitigation in place so the adjacent property owner doesn't have any ill effects during that time period.
Okay, I will make that motion then to direct this back down to staff and the Planning Commission to review as SMU 6. Is that what you need?
Yes, sir.
That is my motion.
Second. Oh, you got a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Commissioner Bowles, you recognized?
I was going to ask, you kind of hinted around at a motion for us to do for this new category. Would that be appropriate to do tonight as well? Yeah.
Please.
Okay. I just want to make.
That would be great. So we have an amended motion on the floor by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cameron Cepeda to change it, to send it back to SMU 6. Please record your vote.
Commissioner Cameron Cepeda? I can take a verbal vote. Yes? Okay. Oh.
Thank you,
Motion
Madam
carried 6-0.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
One other just procedural motion, if we could make a motion to remand rezoning 25-0500 to the zoning hearing master. It won't be at a date certain, but it'll be noticed when it's appropriate to go.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion to remand by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. If I ask on behalf of the Navarros, is there additional fees to do the amendment?
I would make a motion to waive them if there are.
Second to motion, a second to waive any expected fees.
So we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Cohen, a second by Commissioner Whistle to waive any additional fees related to this item for the applicant.
Yes.
Any discussion? Please record your vote. Oh, Planning Commission, excuse me.
I'm sorry, just one point of clarification. Would that include noticing materials and ads, or is that just for the application? I think that's what you were asking about, was the application fee, yes?
The application fee, and I would say the ads can get very expensive. I normally wouldn't ask, except it's a family business, and so that's the only reason I'm asking.
I think that we have to waive it. I think that we're doing this, and they are going to incur double the expenses at this point in the process. I don't think it's fair. So I would add that to the motion.
Commissioner Wilson?
And I will just agree because it's our fault for not having the appropriate zoning, and we know that this has been happening, so I'll second the amendment.
So can we just restate the motion so that it will include both, please?
The motion is that we are going to waive any costs associated with this renewed application.
Including the ad.
Including the advertising.
Excellent. We have a second. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Whistle?
And before we move on, I will now make the motion to request that the Planning Commission review any potential improvements to zoning categories to alleviate the situations that we just handled. That is my motion. Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen regarding exploring the new land use category. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Kim? Okay. Motion carried 6-0.
Next item, please.
Yes, the next two items we have are adoption items. We have items D1 and D2. They were transmitted to the state for comment back in June of this year. The Florida Department of Commerce had no comment on the proposed amendments. In addition, there were no objections received from other agencies, so the entirety of those comments that were received are linked under the D items on your agenda. And with that, I introduce Ms. Alexis Myers, who will be doing the presentation. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff. I'm here to present HCCPA 2508, located at 16410 Balmar Road, for the Urban Service Area Expansion. This is a privately initiated map amendment that is large in scale and approximately 470.9 acres. The applicant is requesting to expand the urban service area. This amendment is associated with HCCPA 2507, which is a request to change the future land use category from AR 1 to 5 to Res 4. This is the general location map. This amendment is associated with HCCPA 2507. It is in the rural area and within the limits of the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Community Plan. It is located north of State Road 674 and east of Balmar Road. Here is the aerial of the site. The site is outlined in pink, and the blue line indicates the existing urban service area boundary. Within the past year, the Board of County Commissioners directed Planning Commission staff to study certain areas for the urban service area expansion. The Waimama Village Residential 2 and Residential Plan 2 future land use categories were a part of the first part of the study. There are two other parts of the under study, which is the Little Manatee South and the I-4 corridor. The publicly initiated amendments are HCCPA 2445 and 2447. 2445 is on the left side of Balmar Road, right over here. Next are the impacts. This amendment would bring 470.9 acres into the urban service area, requiring at a minimum connection to a public water and sewer. Next are the agency comments. The proposed amendment received no objections from the following agencies. As far as the consistency review, the proposed amendment is consistent with the objectives and policies of the unincorporated county comprehensive plan. Planning Commission recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. And this concludes my presentation for 2508. And I can go on to 2507 if that's okay. Yes, Alexis Myers again to present HCCPA 2507, located at 16410 Balmar Road. It's a privately initiated map amendment that is large in scale and approximately 470.9 acres. The request is to go from agricultural rural 1 to 5 to residential 4. Here's the general location map. As I mentioned, this amendment is associated with 2508 to expand the urban service area. It is in the rural area and within the limits of the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Community Plan. It is north of State Road 674 and east of Balmar Road. Here's the aerial of the site. The site is outlined in pink, and a blue line indicates the existing urban service area boundary. The site currently has agricultural, single-family uses, and vacant land. The site also has wetlands and is in the FEMA flood zone AE. Agriculture is to the east, west, and north. There are single-family uses to the north, south, east, and further west in the urban service area. Vacant land is to the north, south, and east, and natural preservation is directly west. Lastly, there are public, quasi-public institution uses to the south and west. As I mentioned before, within the past year, the Board of County Commissioners directed Planning Commission staff to study certain areas for the urban service area expansion. Currently, here are a few pictures of the site. This is looking east from Balmar Road to the single-family uses to the, on the subject site. This is looking west of the subject site from Balmar Road. Here's on the subject site looking west, and this is looking east. Here's looking north to the agricultural uses, and this is looking south towards the subject site from Balmar Road. Currently, the future land use designation is agricultural rural 1 to 5. The agricultural rural 1 to 5 category allows 1 dwelling unit per 5 gross acres and a maximum floor area ratio of 0.25. This designation allows for the consideration of farms, ranches, feedlots, residential, neighborhood commercial offices, industrial uses related to agricultural uses, and mining-related activities. Other future land use categories shown in this map include Wamama Village Residential 2 and natural preservation to the west and south, and agricultural 1 to 10 to the east. The applicant is proposing to amend the future land use category to residential 4. The residential 4 category allows 4 dwelling units per gross acre and a maximum floor area ratio of 0.25. This destination allows for the consideration of agricultural, residential, neighborhood commercial, office uses, and multi-purpose projects. As far as the impacts, currently under AR 1 to 5, the site could consider 94 dwelling units or 5,128,101 square feet of non-residential uses. Under the proposed future land use designation of Res 4, the site could consider 1,883 dwelling units or the same amount of square footage for non-residential uses. During the rezoning process, commercial locational criteria may affect the allowable square footage for potential non-residential development. The proposed amendment will result in the increase in development potential by allowing higher residential and greater commercial intensity. Next, we have the agency comments. The proposed amendment received no objections from the following agencies. Then we have the consistency review. The proposed amendment is consistent with the following objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan. And Planning Commission recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated comprehensive plan. And this concludes my presentation for 2507.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Good evening. For the record, Kevin Reale, 401 East Jackson Street. We're not going to give a presentation this evening. Just to remind the Commission, nothing's changed. And while this is an expansion application, really, we presented this as what we thought was a more logical termination of the recent expansion the board made. I don't know if there's anyone online in opposition, so if necessary, I'd like to rebut, but otherwise, we're here for any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on the item? Do we have anyone online? Okay, I see no one. Nope, not online. Thank you very much. Seeing no one in the queue, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen on HCCPA 2508. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Yes.
I need a motion for HCCPA 2507.
Motion carried 6-0.
Sorry.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion on HCCPA 2507 by Commissioner Whistle, a second by Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Motion carried 6-0.
Do we have any other business for the good of the order? Seeing none, we are adjourned. I made it almost the whole meeting without.